Good afternoon to you, lovely, lovely real entrepreneurs. Happy Friday to you. How are we doing today? Greetings from Dubai. Let me know where in the world you are. A few people coming in and joining. Happy Friday to you. Thank you for joining. Hope you've had a good week. How are you? Give me a wave if you're joining. Let me know how you are and where you are. How is your family? How is your business? How is your team? Hello, hello, welcome to you. Hello, give me a wave, give me a thumbs up, say hello, let me know where you are, who you are, how you are. And do give me a wave, and I wish you a very happy Friday. Thank you for joining. Jennifer, hi Gulshan, how nice to see you. Hello Sandy. I think I saw James joining as well. Hello to you. Give me a wave, say hello, happy Friday to you. Let me know where you are joining from and how you are doing. How is your family? How is your business? How's your team? How are things where you are? So how are we feeling this week into May already? Has the spring come to where you are? Have you managed to spend some time outside? Do let me know. A bank holiday weekend in the UK last weekend. Hope you are enjoying May. It's getting really hot near here and I've got plenty of sunshine. So if you are in need of any sunshine, let me know and I'll send some your way. What have you been working on this week? Has it been a good one? All good here. I'm making some really good progress on my book. Started doing my first interviews this week, which were really, really interesting and gave me lots of good material. People who are at various stages of that transition from the corporate world, employed to self-employed. Thank you to all of you who are referring friends or colleagues to me, whether for book interviews or for one-to-one coaching or to work with their teams. I really appreciate each and every referral that you send me. Really appreciate all of the intros that you're giving me. So yeah, great material for my book. Lots of new joiners also in the community. Welcome to each and every one of you. I'm really passionate about serving you and giving you loads of great value in these weekly lives. I really want you to know that you're not alone. It can be a very up and down journey, this entrepreneurial road. So I want you to know that you are not alone. Please feel free to post any of your questions or your challenges into this group. That's absolutely what we are here for, to help you get past whatever's blocking you, whatever is confusing you, whatever you'd like to know, whatever questions you've got about simplify, grow and enjoy your business. That's what we're all about here. My team does review all of the posts into this group just to simply stop people who are lazy and just want to share a link from their page, or those people that are just blatantly trying to sell. That's really not what we're doing here. By all means, share a post from your page, of course, but tell us what the story is, tell us what the challenge is, tell us what lesson you're learning or what question you have. If you just simply share your page, then your post will not be approved. You have been warned. Hi AJ, hi Gulshan, nice to see you both. Hope that you are both safe and well, and your families as well. I know it's kind of crazy times. Gulshan, you're in Delhi, so yeah, crazy times over in India. AJ, I'm not sure where you're based. Richard, hi, nice to see you as well. So in addition to these weekly live Fridays, we also have Ask Me Anything sessions in this group. Every Monday at 3 p.m. UK, I'm in the group at that time, answering your questions, any questions that you have about starting or running a business. I'm not on video on Mondays, I'm on video on Fridays, but I am answering your questions and I am answering them live. So either pop your questions into the group in advance or join me at 3 p.m. on a Monday to get them answered live. AJ's in the West Midlands. Greetings to you. Nice part of the world. I was at university in Aston University, so fond memories of the West Midlands. So how are you? How are you doing this week? It does continue to seem like a very busy time for everyone. I can't believe we're already in May. I really hope that you and your business are thriving. If you're not, do you know what? That's okay. Let me know what support you need. You are not alone. I can see that several of you have booked in a clarity call over the next couple of weeks, and so I'm looking forward to speaking with you. If you'd like to get past your blockers, take that next step in your business, do book in a call with me and let's get you a good dose of clarity. I free up a few slots each week in my calendar that I make available for calls with members of this community, completely free. So grab yours now. You can find the link in the pinned post at the top of this group. So, last week we were looking at difficult business relationships. We talked about the 3 different levels to look at. So look at expectations to see if they're aligned, look at goals to see if they're aligned, and then look at values. And also we talked a little bit about how to prepare for that conversation that you think might be a little bit difficult if you're having some difficult relationships in your business or in your working life. If you didn't get a chance to join me live last week, you can find a recording of that session in the group. All of the lives are organised into guides, so Facebook groups have guides, and we have 4 of them in this community. There's a welcome guide with some information about me and some links, and then we have 3 guides that are filled with resources and all of the lives dating back to when we started this community almost 2 years ago, June 2019. So if you are feeling overwhelmed or stretched too thin, if you're not sure exactly what to focus on, how to prioritise and how to get organised, then the Simplify Your Business guide has loads and loads of hints and tips on how to make life easier for yourself, how to organise your time and focus on what's important. And of course, we'll be covering some of that today. Then the next guide we have is the Grow Your Business guide in this group, in this community, which is all about client acquisition, scaling and managing people. So if that's your challenge right now, then that's the place that you can find plenty of support. And finally, and very importantly, there's the Enjoy Your Business guide. And that is really focusing on you and your role and how to ensure that the business you're building continues to delight and inspire you. What we really don't want is you falling out of love with your business, getting overwhelmed and just giving it all up. That's really what we don't want. So everything that I do, all of my work falls into one of those 3 guides: Simplify, Grow and Enjoy, so that you can easily find the support you need. I want all 3 of those for you, of course, but you will know individually which one is needed for you most right now. So do check out the guides in the group. As you know, I tend to take my cues from you in terms of what would be helpful for me to cover during these lives. Sometimes maybe I might read about something or reflect on a past experience and bring those learnings to share with you, and often I share things from my book, my first book, busy writing my second book, but also I will share things that I work with my clients on anonymously, of course. But most often these lives actually come from conversations, questions and requests that I get from members of this community. So do let me know, where are you stuck? What questions do you have? What challenges are you facing? What would you like me to cover in future lives? But today's live has been inspired by 2 different conversations. So a lady who has just bought my book a week or so ago, she wrote me an email, and what she said was, I've got so much going on with myself regarding work, trying to build up a business again, living in a small town and also studying, knowing that things have changed and I cannot just rely on my current business. Looking forward to being able to focus solely on the book, knowing at the moment that I can't, trying to multitask. So that was her message. And the second one was actually during one of the Ask Me Anything sessions that I was talking about that we have on Monday, 3 p.m. UK time, where Donald, hey Donald, was asking for my advice in terms of how to start and end each day. So today's live is all about managing your time, and for some of you this might be the first time you've heard some of this, some of what I'm going to cover today, and for some of you it might be a useful reminder. So Junior posted earlier on that he needs a bit of a refresh from this, so hello Junior, I don't know if you're watching live or you're watching later, but hopefully you'll find this helpful. So, do you struggle with juggling all the different priorities in your life and your business? Are you overwhelmed and finding it hard to get motivated and feel organised? Is that you? Is that what you're struggling with? Time is really the most valuable resource that any of us have, and yet it's really not unusual to find ourselves kind of procrastinating or trying to do too many things at once, and then what happens is that we end up feeling like a failure and giving ourselves a hard time. Sound familiar? So today's live is designed to give you some things to think about, of course, but also some concrete actions that you can take today. I'm going to give you some pointers in terms of structuring the beginning and the end of your day. We're going to talk a little bit about how to avoid overwhelm and give you some tips on how to focus and manage your time. So how does that sound? Let's get us started, shall we? Very important topic. So setting a daily routine creates structure. It helps us reach our goals and it reduces procrastination. The real power in routines is the way that they can help us build momentum, break bad habits, prioritise our lives and make us more efficient. I can't really overstate the importance of routines. Our brains like routines. They're familiar and they make us feel safe. And they really are, if you don't already have a beginning of day and end of day routine, I really would encourage you to think about that. So, I like to start the day with gratitude, exercise and deciding on the top 3 things that I want to achieve in that day. So let me know if you have a morning routine and what you like to have in your morning routine. It always seems to me when I talk about this that people tend to put more focus on the start of the day than at the end, but the end of the day is just as important. I like to end my working day with a quick review of what I've achieved, my plan for the next day, very important, so that I finish the day feeling organised and in control, and also gratitude. It's important that, like everything else, you build routines that work for you. So by all means, take input from me and from other people, but you've really got to try out different things and see what works for you. See what serves you, see what makes you feel motivated and focused at the beginning of the day and grateful and satisfied at the end of the day. That's what we really want, right? So really, really important that you have regular routines and you can put some of the things in that I suggested there. So let's talk a little bit about overwhelm and how to avoid it. Richard is saying, I've got a morning and nighttime routine, 147 days in a row now. Wow, congratulations, Richard, that is excellent. Let us know, what have you noticed? What's the difference? What improvements have you seen? Do you feel more focused? Do you feel more calm? Do you feel more organised? Let us know. All of those things can come from having really powerful routines that support us and what we're trying to achieve. Yeah, so let's talk about overwhelm. The common challenge for most business owners. I want to start this piece by talking about a very, very important concept, which is the cause of really a lot of overwhelm. Every time you consider doing anything, changing a light bulb, ringing a client, reading an article, or booking next year's holiday, every time you think about possibly doing anything, your brain logs it. And this is what we call open loops. Now, our brains in some ways are very, very simple, and in other ways they are very, very sophisticated. And the bit of your brain that is designed to keep you safe is very simple, and by that I mean it's very binary, it's very black and white. It also really hasn't evolved much since the days of the cavemen and the cavewomen. And so that's kind of where your flight or fight also lives, that piece of your brain that's trying to keep you safe. And what's really interesting about this is it can only hold one thought at a time. So this whole thing about multitasking is a complete myth. We cannot actually hold more than one thought in our brains at any one time. It also cannot tell the difference between, I might possibly do that one day maybe, and, oh my goodness, this is the most critical thing that I have to do on my to-do list. It can't tell the difference between those two things. And what this means in practical terms is that your brain will keep reminding you of everything that you ever considered maybe one day, possibly maybe doing. Which is why you may find yourself feeling overwhelmed, and you may, if it gets out of control, find yourself lying there awake at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, worrying about everything you need to get done, because your brain is trying to be helpful. It's trying to avoid risk, it's trying to keep you safe, and so it keeps reminding you of all of those things that you have, in its view, committed to doing, even though you might just have gone, oh yeah, that looks interesting, I might read that at some point if I've got time. Yeah? So, in order to stop, and the good news, so that's the bad news, there's nothing you can do about that, that is just how your brain is wired. But the good news is that there is a way to help your brain not keep reminding you of all those things. So in order to stop all of that stress, and specifically that feeling of overwhelm, you need a process. And the good news is that I am an operational business coach, and processes are my thing. So, as with everything that I talk about, it must work for you. So I'm going to give you a bit of a structure and a kind of an outline, but you have to find what works for you. And this might, just like the routines, might take a little bit of tweaking, might take a little bit of testing. So here's how it works. I call it my focus formula, so F-O-C-U-S. Okay, so we're going to start off with F, and F stands for fetch, and by that I mean every single to-do item, every single thing that you say, yeah, I might possibly do that, or I need to do that, or oh my God, I must do that. Wherever it is on that spectrum, you need to fetch it. You need to collect it out of your brain, and you need to write it down. Now, here is a very important example of you have to do it your way, right? So you might use a notebook, you might use pen and paper. That is totally fine. You might use a simple notes app on your phone. That's what I used to use before I discovered Trello, and there are other kind of online tools, task management tools, like Asana's another one, Monday's another one. So there are various out on the market. I happen to use Trello. It doesn't matter which system. People get so excited about the tech, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that it works for you, right? So, but you have to have a place, you have to have a notebook, a thing on your phone, a piece of software. It really doesn't matter, but you have to have a way of capturing all of those to-do lists, even if you think you probably won't get round to it. But if there's still some doubt, your brain understands that, right? Your brain has got that, so it won't let you forget it, and it will wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you'll suddenly be thinking about that book that you thought you might read, one day that somebody suggested to you. So really, really important that you capture all of those things. Okay, now top tip before we move on from fetch is that when you are capturing all of those things, what's really important, and a really good hack, if you like, that will really, really help your brain, is take a few seconds just to think about what is the next action. So don't just write Sarah on your to-do list. Write, phone Sarah about this, about proposal. Phone Sarah about brochure. Don't just write premium bonds. Write down, need to research what to do about premium bonds. Like, write down the first thing you want to do about that action, right? About that to do, because what happens when your brain looks at it, there's a millisecond where it goes, Sarah, oh yes, I need to email her. Sarah, oh yes, I need to email her. And it might be a split second and you might not be noticing, but it is tiring your brain out, and we don't want our brains to be tired, because that's what leads to overwhelm. So capture everything, find a way of capturing everything, but think about what is the next action. What is the first step you're going to take on this particular to-do? Okay, that's fetch. Now, very importantly, is options. And so for each of these things, we have various different options, right? In terms of what we can do. So what I mean by that is, are we really going to do it? Are we really going to do it? Don't tell your brain that you're going to read something if you're blatantly not going to read it, right? So ditch it or do it. Maybe you could do it really quickly without adding it onto your to-do list. Or could you delegate it? Could you delegate it to somebody else, right? So really question, before you put things on your to-do list, which I'm sure is already long enough, think about whether you are actually going to do it, whether you can delegate it, or whether you can just get it done right now. If you can't do any of those three things, then do put it on your to-do list. And as I say, don't say to yourself, I'm not going to add it into my to-do list, if you haven't actually told your brain that you're not going to do it, because your brain knows. Okay, so that's the O for options, and now we come to C, and this is categorize. Categorization is really super important. So what I'm talking about here is buckets, groups of tasks, projects, if you like. So for example, you can group together all the things that require you to pop into town. You could group the, have my hair cut, pick up whatever at the grocery store, etc. You group those things together. All the calls, group them together. All the emails, group them together. Projects, so I'm going to launch a podcast, and so I've got lots of different tasks around my podcast. I've got lots of tasks around my second book that I'm writing. So kind of bucket them together to make it more logical as you navigate this system, whether it's some people have different notebooks. If you're a pen and paper person, then you might have different notebooks, for example. But think about a way that you can categorize all of these different to-do lists. Okay, very, very, very important. U is for understand. So what I mean by that is what happens, I'm sorry, I'm just clicking on here so I can see all the comments coming through. So what I mean by understand, okay, so let me tell you what happens, particularly with very creative people, right? They get very excited about setting up a whole new system and, oh yeah, I'm going to do this and I'm going to have 5 different notebooks, or I'm going to have a Trello board and it's all going to be wonderful. And then what happens is it gets out of date because you're not reviewing it. So it's full of stuff and maybe you forgot to kind of tick things off and maybe there are things on there that actually you've decided that you're not going to do, and basically it gets out of date. And do you know what? Do you know what happens when it gets out of date? Your brain stops trusting you. See, your brain, when you had this system, it started believing that actually you captured all of these things. Because you see, the brilliant thing about open loops is that to close them, you don't have to do the thing, you just have to make sure that you've captured it somewhere so that your brain is like, okay, you've got that, you sure, Lisa, you sure you've got that? Yeah, okay, fine. I'm not going to hold it anymore because I believe you that you've got it. But if your system gets disorganized and you stop using it and you stop reviewing it, your brain will not trust you anymore. And so it will start holding all of those things again, and you will get that feeling of being stretched too thin and being overwhelmed. And so the U for understand, what I mean by that is refreshing it. And what I'm saying is that at least once a week, and I do it once a week, right? So once a week, you have to have a quick squiz through. I'm not saying read every single thing, but you have to have a quick squiz through and you have to go, right, I've done that. Right, is it organized properly? Does it all make sense? You've got to keep it fresh. You've got to keep it current. Otherwise, your brain will stop believing you that you have all of this stuff under control. So this is super important. And this is what I see breaking down again with very creative people, which most entrepreneurs are, lots of ideas, 1,000,001 ideas and possibilities, and then they go, oh, my system's rubbish. I need a different software. So they go, right, Trello's rubbish, it doesn't work for me, right, I'm going to try something else. And so they'll just throw the baby out with the bathwater, start again, and then, in a few weeks' time, we're having the same conversation. So it's not the system, it's not the piece of software, it's not the notebook. It's because you're not reviewing it, you're not keeping it fresh, you're not keeping on top of it. So, FOCU. If we do those ones properly, then we get the S, which is the success. And what I mean by that is not feeling overwhelmed, making good decisions, feeling in control, feeling organized, which is what we want, right? So this is the reason I call it a formula is I'm not prescribing for you exactly how you do this, because this has to work for you. But I'm telling you that whatever system you have to keep your head clear has to have these 5 elements. It has to have a way of fetching everything out of your brain. It has to have a way to consider the options. It has to have a way to categorize or bucket or chunk up, chunk down, whatever words you want to use. It has to have a way for you to understand it, keep your arms around it, refresh it, keep it up to date and current. And it has to lead to successful decisions, successful mindset, feeling organized and not feeling overwhelmed. Okay, so one of the very biggest challenges when we are running our own business, especially when you're just starting out, but not only, is all of those ideas, all the creativity and all of the possibilities. And that is one of the reasons why it's so important that you capture all of those. But I want to add one very important point to this. Please remember that what you can do is not the same as what you should do. You have to take things one step at a time. And if you are feeling overwhelmed, stretched too thin, you don't have enough time, you're feeling disorganized, please come back to what should I be spending my time on as a director of my business? If my business had a voice, what would it want me to be focusing on? That is a really powerful question to ask yourself, yeah? Not what can I do, because we're all very capable people and I'm sure that you are a very capable person. So not what can I do, but what really should I be spending my time on? What does my business really need me to be spending my time, my focus, my energy on? Building a business is absolutely a marathon, it's not a sprint. There is absolutely no point in burning yourself out or falling out of love with what you're doing. There just is no point. So one step at a time, focus, focus, focus. Okay, here are my top 10 tips for managing your time and staying focused. So, first of all, set goals, and they must be achievable and they must be bite-sized. If something's too big and complicated, we get overwhelmed and we procrastinate. So break it down into bite-sized chunks. Number 2, prioritize. We often spend too much time on things that are urgent, so all of that firefighting, but they're not really that important. So you do need to, when you're looking at your time and what you need to be spending your time on, you need to be looking through a lens of both importance as well as urgency. Number 3, delegate. I know it's not that easy, but anything that doesn't have to be done by you should be delegated. You need to find a way to delegate it. If you need some help with any of these, let me know. And that includes all of the things that you could do but really shouldn't be doing. Okay, a really, really top tip, and Junior, this is a good reminder for you, separate out. And what I mean by that is don't mix the planning with the doing. Decide how you will do a task when you get to do it, especially something that you're putting off. So what I mean by that, let me give you an example. So Junior won't mind me sharing this. We were talking about editing videos, right? And he had this on, oh, I need to do more videos for social media. And every time he looked at that chunk in his time, he was just like, editing videos. So what we did is we said, right, at the beginning of the week, when you put that chunk of time into your calendar, just write a few notes, just break it down and just write a few notes about what you're going to do. So gather together this footage, choose the music, then I'm going to edit this, I'm going to pull this in, Just write, take you a few seconds, right? Put that in the block of time in your calendar. Let's say you're going to do it on Thursday. On Thursday, when you come to that, you go, oh, right, okay, I've got to edit some videos. You don't have to think about it. You've already decided what the steps are, and then you can just get on and do it. I don't know why it works. I'm not a neuroscientist, but I promise you it works. If you don't believe me, please try it. Separate out the planning, what am I going to do, from the actual doing, because it's a different mindset, it's a different place in your head. And when you're in doing mode, if you try and think how, it will slow you down. It might even, you will look for distractions, it might even stop you in your tracks. Yeah, so planning and doing are two different states of mind. Separate them out. Okay. Number 5, use your calendar, add tasks to your schedule and block out time to spend on the things that you want to achieve. As I mentioned, include the notes on how you will do a task. So, take breaks, number 6. So when I was doing research for my first book, I'm fascinated by overwhelm because a lot of my clients, or actually myself included, often suffer from overwhelm. And so I was fascinated. I did a lot of reading about overwhelm and burnout. And what I found was that actually one of the really great things that you can do is just by having small gaps between the different tasks. Like, don't go from phone call to email to, have small breaks between the different types of tasks, even if it's only for a minute or two, right? So I'm doing my Facebook Live to all of you now. When I finish, I will get up, I will look outside the window, I'll just spend a couple of minutes, maybe I'll go and make a cup of tea. Have a very short break before you then go on to the next task, whether it's the email or phoning a client or having a coaching session in my case, yeah? So have small breaks, and that will reduce that feeling of, I've got too much on, and the end of the day where you just feel like you're stretched too thin. Try it. It will reduce the feelings of overwhelm. A routine. So we talked about routines, having a regular rhythm for how you start and end your day. Your brain likes routines, and it really does help you embed these positive practices. Where are we? Number 8, decide. Start your day by deciding what time you plan to finish. Communicate it to other people if it will help you stay on track and keep your word. That is really a great discipline. At the beginning of the day, just decide, just make a decision, make a pact with yourself what time you're going to end that day. Number 9, review. This is what I was talking about earlier on. At the end of each week, look back at what you've achieved and look forward to what you want to achieve in the week ahead. Be very intentional in what you do. It's really very helpful to do those regular reviews, yeah? Just look back, just spend a few minutes looking back at everything that you've achieved in the week. Because most of us are moving so fast, we're on to the next thing. What about celebrating everything that you've achieved? What about some gratitude for all the people that have helped you along the way? So reviewing is really important, and then starting your week in a very intentional way. And number 10, have a system. Have a system for getting things out of your head and keeping it clear. Really, really important if you want to avoid overwhelm. It will help you avoid that stress of open loops I was talking about earlier on, and also multiple lists. Oh, I didn't say that earlier on. No multiple lists, it's got to be one list. Yeah, you can have several notebooks, but you need to be organised. You need to be organised. Let me know if you need any help with that. Okay. So those are my thoughts on routines, managing your time and avoiding overwhelm. Do let me know your questions and comments. How do you manage your time? How do you ensure that you're focused on the things and the people that you care about, and that you're prioritizing what's important in your life? What is your next step in life and in business? What do you need to make you feel more confident? Do book in a clarity call with me, and let's get you moving past whatever is blocking your progress and on to that next challenge. Before I close up for today, I do want to give you some concrete next steps, some actionable things that I suggest you do as a result of today's live. Number one, what is your system for keeping your head clear? Do you need help putting that in place? What is that? And does it fetch things? Does it look at the options? Does it categorize? Do you have a regular understanding review? And does it ultimately lead to success? Number two, next, what is this week's goal? What is this month's goal? And what do you want to have achieved by the end of the year? Goal setting also helps us stay focused and less overwhelmed. Again, break it down. What do you want to achieve this week? What do we want to achieve next week, seeing as we're Friday? Or what do you want to achieve by the end of today, right? The day is still young. And thirdly, you know what's coming. Let's take some action. Make sure that your routines are serving you and the business that you're building. So don't let them get stale. It's great, Richard, that you've been doing 147 days of the same routine. It sounds like you've really refined that, and that's really important. Try a few different things and make sure it's really serving you and the business that you're building. Let me know how you get on with this, and let me know if you need any support with any of what we have spoken about today. I'm going to close up today's live with two quotes about managing time. The first one, and because it was May the 4th, Star Wars Day this week, from Qui-Gon Jinn. That is not very easy to say. He is a Jedi Knight, in fact a Jedi Master, played by Liam Neeson in the Star Wars films. Always remember, your focus determines your reality. And the second quote is from Charles Buxton, who was an English brewer, philanthropist and Member of Parliament. You will never find time for anything. If you want time, you must make it. It really is worth some time getting clear about what you want your focus to be and what your priorities are. Decide what's really important to you and stick to it. Building a business is tough. It can be a long, hard road. As I said earlier, it's a marathon, definitely not a sprint. So please make sure that you're building something that's really meaningful to you, something that will sustain you through the tough times, something that makes you want to get out of bed in the morning. Be very intentional. Say no to those things that don't serve you and the goal that you want to achieve. And as I pass back over to you, as I do every Friday, that is what I want you to take from today's live. What is the outcome that you are seeking? What is the result? What is your goal? Put your energy into getting really, really clear about that. But allow yourself, and I encourage you to do things your way. Yes, of course, learn from me, learn from other people, but when you synthesize all of that learning, when you bring it all inside of you, what comes out must work for you. It must be congruent with you. You must be doing things your way. If you want to build some huge conglomerate company, multinational, absolutely go for it, fantastic. But do you know what? If you just want to do your thing, that's absolutely okay as well. Focus on listening to yourself and ask yourself what you need so that you can spend more of your time in flow. And don't forget that the opposite of flow is friction. So if things aren't really working, instead of keep banging your head against a brick wall, take a bit of a step back and focus on getting some clarity. Get some objective input, hire the services of a business coach, take some time to look at what you're doing and where an easier path might start from and lead to. Ask yourself, what would a business that really works for me look like? Let me know your thoughts and questions on this or any other topic relating to how to simplify, grow and enjoy your business. What area of business would you like me to speak about next? Also, who do you know that could benefit from joining this community or having a conversation with me? If you haven't already claimed your free copy of my first book, The Real Entrepreneur, then you can go to therealentrepreneurbook.com. If you prefer an Audible version or a Kindle version, you can find those on Amazon. Do check out the resilience section of my book for much more on managing your time. Get the foundations right and you can build from there. I really hope that you have a lovely weekend, whatever you're doing and whoever you're doing it with. I wish you a really happy and peaceful time. And as always, if you want to talk, you know where I am. Please remember to be where you are in the journey. You don't need to know it all, and you definitely don't have to do it all. Take care, stay safe, and keep in touch. Bye for now.